Hello, I hope that all of you are healthy and fine, and you must have seen the topic for today's discussion. So, what about money? We all know it is there. We all have heard so many proverbs about money, like the most famous one, money is not everything in the world, but yes, money can purchase most things under the sun. I seriously like this proverb very much because it is so true. But still, to start this discussion, I actually need to ask a question. What about money? What is it that you want to know about money? Or actually, what is money? We all need money to buy things. We work hard to earn it. But the key questions here are, how are we able to believe that rupees 100 will get us 2 kg of sugar or something else? Who is the person who gets to decide that how much can be purchased with certain amount of money? I seriously would like to meet that person. Why with every passing year we get to purchase lesser quantity of goods with the same amount of money? It is my hard-earned money. If I earn hard-earned money of 100 rupees last year, then it should be equal to 100 rupees this year, but it is not. So we seriously need the answers to those questions. But if you want to understand anything, then the best way is to check its origin and evolution. We know that humans invented money, and since its birth, the money has continuously been evolving. We know hard cash, plastic money, e-money, virtual money, and many more forms of it. And humans have also evolved. So let's revisit the evolution of both humans as well as the money. Start with the humans. We evolved from the more famous one is the P. robustus or Homo habilis. Then most of us actually are aware of Homo erectus, then Neanderthalensis, then Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens is actually the most famous one, and then to us, the common modern man. But this is the story that we have heard so many times. We actually want to know what actually made us evolve from those, the Neanderthals or Homo sapiens, to us today. So, what was the core thing that contributed to our evolution or growth? How we became from Homo sapiens to modern human? I actually want to believe that it was trade and money. The trade generated the necessity of money. Earlier, the humans were very happy with procuring their daily requirements on daily basis, like all the animals do. But since the earlier humans' brains were growing, they soon realized that saving for tomorrow means better chances of survival for longer durations. This led to extra production or procurement. The extra production actually led to trade. During the earlier times, trade meant barter, the exchange of commodities. But it was getting very difficult to find the exact person who has the exact item in surplus that you want, and he has a need for the same item that you have in surplus. So money was divided as an item in which everything and anything was convertible, and vice versa, and the world was changed forever. Now let's see the evolution of money. In the beginning, it was barter. We were making the axes, we were collecting the hides, and those were exchangeable. Then the barter started with cattle. People used to supply cattle like goats, cows, horses to procure the things that they require. Then the cowrie shells. This was actually a very beautiful looking currency. But like all of us, we know that we humans actually don't want to work hard. So when this started being used as a money, the people, instead of working, started going to rivers or the sweetwater ponds to collect these cowrie shells. And by the end of the day, if they were able to collect, let's say 10-20 cowrie shells, then they were able to purchase their requirements. This actually led to a lower procurement or production, which was a bad thing. So the cowrie shells were replaced. Then the metal money was coined. These are the earlier images of the metal money, and this metal money actually was one of those things which started giving more power to the human. Any king, any person who was the owner of any piece of land, if he was having more coins, then he was the richest or the most powerful person in that area. And then from those coins we know the modern coins. We have seen so many types, we have seen so many kinds from so many countries, but yes, coins actually were the thing that changed the world in a greater extent. But coins were not actually able to be carried or transported for a long distances. They were heavy, they were very difficult to maintain. The events of theft started happening with the coins. So the rulers at those times they started developing the leather money. These are the few types of leather money. But leather money never, because everyone was having the cattle in their homes, and those cattle were able to provide the leather to anybody and everybody who was having cattle in their homes. And people or humans are so good in terms of coining or copying the things. So they started copying the coins or the leather money. And again they were working less and they were producing their own currency in their own homes, which was again bad. So leather money was replaced with the best thing, the nose. The nose money actually is the thing that tells us that human as a breed is very cruel. They are concerned, till by this time they were concerned only with how much a person can procure and what are the things with which he can be punished and his productivity would not decrease. So nose was the best thing. You cut any other part of the human's body and the productivity of that person goes down, but you cut the nose, then the person starts working as a billboard to anybody and everybody, that if you don't pay the money to somebody whom you owe the money, then the person has the right to make you that much disgusting looking individual. But this was a cruel currency and it was soon stopped. And thanks to China, we discovered the paper, we developed the paper, and then with the discovery of paper, we started developing the paper currency. So many types of earlier types of paper currencies. Paper was one of the best type of currency because it was easy to procure, it was easy to produce, it was easy to print, and so many complexities were able, the paper was able to incorporate, that it was getting very difficult for the humans or the commoners to copy that print. So paper became a very popular type of a currency, but still we kept on developing. And then this Potlach is actually a concept which was basically giving gifts in lieu of some work or activity that you have performed for some other party. But these potlatches basically were being organized for the bigger entities at that time. The landlords, the kings used to perform the potlatches. One king did a favor to another king, then another king used to throw a party to the first king. Those were the concepts of potlatch. And then both the kings used to forget the amount or the worth of the work that the one person has performed for the other person, because he has threw a party for the entire community. Wampum actually is basically a jewelry type. It was made out of the cowrie shells, it was made out of the sea beads, and it was basically the jewelry. Like any jewelry, even if we have the jewelry even today, we can trade it in terms of money. We can purchase certain amount of good from the jewelry. So wampum is a jewelry. But paper currency ruled forever. The reasons I have told you earlier: very cheap and quick to produce, very effective in circulation, least cost of replacement, can incorporate many complexities to ward off the attempts to counterfeit it. So paper currency ruled. But if paper is so cheap to produce, paper is so easy to maintain, then how the people started believing that such a cheap item can purchase most expensive assets in the world? The earlier examples that I gave you, like Potlach, had a large amount of effort involved in it. Like wampum, it was a jewelry. Like leather currency, it was an effort. Like metal coins, it was an effort. Metal at that time, during the earlier years, was a precious item, because not many people had the technology to produce or to excavate the metal and then produce coins out of the metals. So Why how paper actually got so much credibility in all of our hearts, that yes, we can purchase the most expensive things with something which is so cheap. And to answer this, the gold standard came into beginning. You might have noticed that every currency note carries a promise that I promise to pay. I'll show you example. See, मैं धारक को 100 रुपये अदा करने का वचन देता हूँ. I promise to pay the bearer of this currency. So this was the promise. But again, a question is, who is this person who is able to make that promise, and what this promise means? How that person is able to make such a tall promise, because all of us are carrying currency notes in our pockets, and all those currency notes are carrying the promise of that one person, like in our case the governor of India, of RBI. But all of us Indians are able to believe the promise made by one person, so why not the promise made by me is having even a bit lesser value. So I seriously need to understand how the promise made by Governor of India, Governor of RBI, that he is going to be able to pay me the worth of 100 rupees or 1000 rupees or 10,000 rupees which I am carrying in my pocket. And one more question, why not this 1 rupee currency note? Let me guess, do 1 rupee currency notes have a promise or not? Let me check it. No, it's not there. Why there is not a promise on 1 rupee currency note? 1 rupee is a note. 1 rupee note is printed by Government of India. When all the currency notes actually have a promise made by Governor of RBI, then why not 1 rupee currency note? Is it a worthless thing? Am I doing something wrong by keeping a 1 rupee currency note in my pocket? I guess not. All the other banknotes are just promises to pay the Indian currency. When you hold 1 rupee note in your, or a coin in your pocket, you hold the currency of India. But when you hold 2000 rupee note or 500 rupee note, then you hold the right to receive 2000 notes of rupee 1, or 500. If you are holding a 500 rupee note, then you hold the right to receive 500 1 rupee currency notes. But what does it mean? Because if I am getting paper in lieu of paper, that actually means nothing to me. Why should I believe the promise made on 2000 rupee note that yes, I am going to receive 2000 1 rupee currency notes or 1 rupee currency coins? That should mean nothing to me. So I just need to look back into what this promise actually means. This promise is substantiated with the help of gold. Whatever the currency note value is there in your pocket, you are entitled to get the gold equivalent of that number. Gold was chosen as a standard because its weight and quality cannot change because of environmental forces like moisture, rust, rotting, breaking. This means that all the printed currencies in a country should be equal to the total gold in that country, because let's say if our country is there and we have printed 500 currency notes, then the total gold available in our country should be equal to 500 rupees. But that total gold is distributed in the hands of so many people, and even if the government or our governor of RBI wants to repay somebody or give the value of 2000 rupee notes to somebody, why would I give my own gold? That is my jewelry, that is my earning. Why I would never give my gold to the governor of RBI? So what does that mean? It simply means that every country has to deposit certain amount of gold in their central banks, and that central bank would be the guardian or holder of the gold available in that country in bullion form, the bricks of gold, biscuits of gold. And those bullion, those bricks of gold would actually be equal to the total currency floated in that economy. Wait a minute, let me understand this. So if every country is required to keep certain amount of gold as a guarantee to its currency, and I know it's a responsibility of every country to provide enough cash to its population so that they can perform their transactions and procure the things that they need. These two conditions actually give us the rate with which the currencies can be converted into one another and the foreign trade can take place. Let's assume two countries, X and Y. Both have kept 100 kg gold in their deposits, and the population of X is incidentally 3 times more than the population of Y. Since we know that every country is required to supply enough gold to its population, then country X would be required to float more currency as compared to Y because it has more population. And this is the equation that with which we started. X kept the amount equivalent to the amount kept by Y, and let's assume it is 100 kg. Population of X is 3 times more, so X is going to print 3 times more currency, but still the total amount of gold kept in the central bank of those countries is again same. So 3 times currency of X should be equal to 1 time currency of Y, which is equal to 100 kg, and this is the currency conversion rate. 1 unit of currency of Y is equal to 3 unit of currency of X. Just like same we are looking at today, the US dollars are valued much more than Indian currency. The Pakistani rupiah is a bit lesser than Indian currency. The Japanese yen is lesser than Indian currency. So this is basically the conversion rate. But all this is a story of some distant past. The gold standard actually ended. One, the massive depression of 1930s. The entire world economy shook with that depression, and to come out of that depression, the US government actually revised the prices of gold and they devalued the gold so that they should be able to supply more currency to their population. This was the first step. Then we know the Russian balkanization happened. Then we know there was a time when Swiss banks actually started threatening the world economy that they are going to release their gold deposits because gold is not having that much of a currency. So world economies or the world countries actually started thinking that if somebody is able to supply gold, then the supply and demand concept of economics would become applicable. More supply of gold would actually bring the prices of gold down, and by bringing the price of gold down, the entire country's currency, the purchasing power of that currency is going to come down for no fault of that country. So if third party is able to supply more gold, they should be able to control the currency's valuation, and that is not correct. But if gold is not the criteria now to find the value of a currency, then what is the criteria? I actually want to believe that gold criteria was a good criteria, but balkanization of USSR, depression of 1930, and Swiss bank threat in late 80s to supply more gold or release their gold deposits were the three major incidents that happened, which actually ended the gold standard as the value of currency valuation. So if gold is not there, because gold is something which can be supplied by somebody, so value of currency now should be based upon an item which is constant, which nobody should be able to supply to anybody, whose supply nobody can increase or decrease. What could be that item? What is the criteria to value the currency? How do we measure the worth of a currency? What is the purchasing power of a currency? To get the answers to all these questions, please wait for the next video. Thank you and have a great day ahead.